Hi there and welcome to another part in our series, Start Your Own Business. Today we're going to be talking about where can I access information about starting my business. I'm Catherine Young, you know me by now. I'm the owner from Think Room Consulting, and before that spent many years in corporate. But the more important guest in the studio today is Tyron Null. Tyron, welcome back.
Hello there, Catherine. Thank you. Just to introduce, for those guys who are just joining us, I'm Tyron. I've founded Zulu Business Management, essentially helping SMEs from startup to exit.
Fantastic.
That's what we're doing here. Let's help them get started.
And startup is the actual point that we're going to be discussing in detail today, Tyron. Really, what types of information should an SME be looking out for when they think of starting their own business?
Catherine, the thing is, a lot of information. They must try to gather as much as humanly possible.
Yes.
I know it sounds weird, but you really have to be getting as much information as you can. Fortunately, we actually have the actual internet.
Yeah.
I spoke to a friend of mine, funny enough, about the topic, and he started laughing, saying, "Well, if you have to ask nowadays, what is the chance that you should be doing this? Because the internet's there.
There's so much information available, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem is, there's far too much information. But that's also a good thing. So we say, go find as much as you can. Read up as many sites, go through it, just all aspects of owning a company. And then we just take it from there.
So if I'm a new business or thinking about a new business, where would you send me on the internet? Where should I go? What should I be typing into that search block?
Well, that's hard to tell because each firm has its own ideas, its own interests. And the problem with most entrepreneurs, they start with their product and their market and their client and how much money they're going to make.
Yes.
We should go back a few more steps.
Right.
Look at their structure, where they're coming from, what type of industry they want. Do they need office space? Don't they need office space? Do they need the internet?
Yeah.
Simple things like that.
Yeah.
Just jot them down, make notes, things that have as takeaways to go talk to other entrepreneurs, other business owners. And
right.
from there you can just sort of turn it out.
Right. So one of my faults, of many of my faults, is that I'm a real perfectionist, and I really want to get everything down to the T and have this I can picture this big broad canvas of every single detail. Are you saying I'm not going to get there initially?
Well, you can, but you're going to waste a lot of time.
Right. And probably never get the business off the ground, right?
Well, the thing is, bear in mind, all that time you take to make it perfect is costing you money.
Yes.
And entrepreneurs generally don't have lots of money. We hear the stories all the time.
Yes.
Where do I get funding? How do I raise funding? Now, if you're spending all your money doing research, you're not making money.
Right.
So someone once said to me, an entrepreneur is sort of a person who jumps off a cliff and builds a plane on the way down.
Right.
And that's what you should be doing.
So all those entrepreneurs with fear of flying, this is not going to work for them, right?
No.
Okay.
But that's the thing. So just jump off the cliff. You have an idea in mind. Gather your information as you're going down. Things will change, and then just head off.
Okay. Okay. So you've mentioned things like, do I use office space? Don't I use office space? Do I need the internet and connectivity? Don't I? What about registrations? Do I have to go search for that? Like, what type of business should I register? Tax implications, or is this too early?
Well, the thing is, it's always good to know what's actually available out there.
Right.
You might not have to spend the money yet. I think one of our earliest chats we mentioned that we'd go back and what type of structures there are. But I think at this stage, don't know that there are actual structures out there. Don't go spend the money just yet.
Right.
Because you might find you've wasted your money.
Right.
So rather just gather your information.
Okay.
Talk to as many people as you can.
Okay, so why is it important to then do this research in the first place? And to me it sounds like a lovely Saturday afternoon, searching as much as I want. Why is it important?
Well, that's the thing. It's crucial. It's crucial. Not having a plan. It might not be a perfect plan. You haven't drawn the detailed roadmap, but you do know in which country you're in which suburb you're in, and that's key. You haven't exactly worked out the street you're on,
yes.
But you've got you've got a great idea, where you are, what it's going to cost you to get there, what further information you still have to learn, because remember your product might change over time.
Right.
So it just keeps you in that sort of motion, and it gets you in the habit of learning.
Yes, yes.
Entrepreneurs need to keep
And that's
learning.
such an important point, right? So, because
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs then should understand that we haven't arrived, it should be continuous learning all the time. But I want to touch on a point that you've just said, your product may change a little bit as you search, etc., etc. What I'm finding as entrepreneurs, when they have a product idea or a service idea, they only ask their friends and family really what they think about it. And being friends and family will be kind, right? And the responses will be kind. What do you do in the cases where you really need an objective view and you're not quite finding that through searching the internet?
Well, the thing is, unfortunately, our friends and families aren't like the actual judges on Idols.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell us the truth about ourselves.
I know.
Unfortunately, the truth is a bit harsh. But what I'd suggest is, once you've gathered all your information, you've drawn the broader picture.
Yeah.
You've noted areas where you're actually struggling. Go seek out someone who actually is a proper mentor.
Right.
A business advisor. Spend a bit of money. Ask the questions that need to be asked. Go through the actual process. They'll sort of easily be able to assist you. And once you leave there, the money will be well spent.
Yeah. Darren, you touch a very interesting point in terms of business mentoring. How do I know, what tips can you give me that I know that the business mentor that I employ would add value to me? How do I choose?
That is a very, very difficult question to answer, I'm afraid. The thing is, it'll vary from your actual personal background, the type of industry that you're in. I mean, I just look at here in Africa. We speak multitude of languages. We come from varied backgrounds. Something that I might assume is a very simple topic is not for somebody else. So that's very, very key. Try and get to people who are closer to you that do own businesses, and then start there and then branch out from that point onwards.
And I would imagine a personality match would also be a good one, right? Somebody you can actually get along with.
Absolutely. You don't want to spend all your time fighting with your actual mentor.
That's exactly
Especially
right.
when you actually agree on the topic, but you're fighting about how you're actually exchanging all that information.
Yes.
So that is key, yes.
What about a target market and the audience that you will serve? At this point where we're now searching for all this general information, do we start considering target markets and audiences?
I think in a broad sense, yes. I think, you would have an idea, I want to make high-heeled shoes in one of your early, your dreams.
Right.
You're not going to be targeting, the guys who play, Super 15 rugby,
Yes.
All the soccer players.
Yeah.
It's a different sort of target market. So yes, you have a broad idea. It's not necessarily going to be all the wives who live in Sandton. So don't narrow it down into that aspect.
Right.
Have an idea where you're at, and then as you're talking to your mentor, you'll start finding that you're going to have you'll be able to streamline that.
Right.
I know a client who exports a product.
Yeah.
Never sold it locally at all.
Right.
Never
and
sold
it's
the
worked
product
successfully.
Yes, and they went and they did all their information about exporting into the EU.
Yeah.
And they've never sold it here locally.
Right.
The product's made here and leaves immediately. We've never even seen it.
Right.
So
okay.
it just
So I'm hearing you say you will have a broad idea of what it is. Now, I know that we covered one of the other modules in terms of how to put a business plan together. This information, I'm assuming, would be a good feeder into that business plan when you eventually get to that point.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is exactly the way you want to take
Okay.
it. Because now you've effectively, just think about it, you've taken the internet
Yes.
and you've taken all the pieces you don't want, you've thrown it out, and you've made it smaller and smaller,
Yes.
make it a lot more localized, and now you've got something to actually work with.
Right.
Think about Atlas holding the earth.
Exactly.
It's much easier holding a soccer ball.
Exactly.
So you've now taken out all the stuff you don't need. Now you've got something small and manageable, and that becomes your business plan.
Okay. I must be honest, I feel uncomfortable with what you said about throwing the things away you don't need, because for me, I would want all that information, but I'm taking your advice. What you're saying to the small businesses who want to understand how to grow this business, start this business actually, is be ruthless with the information you keep and leave.
Absolutely. But
Okay.
also bear in mind that you now know where you can access that information.
Yes.
So although you've actually taken it out of your day-to-day thinking, you know where you can find it.
Right.
So it's not gone, it's just out of your sight. So you can focus on the actual important stuff.
Okay.
So, and that is key.
Okay. Now, what happens if I truly, truly cannot find the information that I need through searching? I know. Just
Yeah,
your reaction and looking at me, it looks like you're not believing my question. I mean that sincerely. I find that some people are not as apt in searching for things on the internet as others, right? So where do I go if I truly cannot find that information online?
The thing is, I find that really hard to believe that you wouldn't, and that's the look on my face. But the thing, what happens is, unless it's a very, very new actual product, but we're not really at that stage. All these steps that we've spoken through are available in print.
Yeah.
There's libraries for those people who are challenged by the internet.
Yeah.
There's libraries, there's bookstores. There's a lot of information like that you can go to. You can sit. Unfortunately, the cost is higher because you have to purchase the books. So it's not just the time you're spending, but I would say a lot of it's there. I find it hard to even answer that you're not going to find that information.
Yes.
So
I guess I'm thinking of my husband, and I hope he's not going to watch this particular module. But he likes talking to people rather than reading. But then your point around find a business mentor earlier, that is a good one. What about at this stage? Could you go speak to a tax practitioner and an accountant, or is it too early?
Yeah, the thing is, unless they are a mentor in that sort of guide, there are a few websites that I like to use. It makes it easier for us. So I just go through and look at. Well, I always advise clients to go to our blog.
Yes,
that helps because we have a year in the life of a business blog,
right,
which guides them through the actual process. But your actual tax authority,
yes,
they have a lot of information. They a lot of guides about running a business, where to go. I know Microsoft has a great site.
Exactly.
The actual business and for Africa site.
Exactly.
That's a good source of information.
So Taryn, I just wanted to add to everybody viewing this particular course that your tax practitioner, your tax authority in any country, it may be called South African Revenue Services in South Africa, but for the other countries around the world, that's the tax authority Taryn's talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So just get on there and have a look. I know we're actually fortunate in this country at the moment. There are a lot of large corporates who are driving a lot of information towards SMEs. Yes. So we're actually spoiled. So any of our large corporates have info on their sites. But I'm sure this is not new. It isn't a new like an SA thing.
Yes.
It seems to be a movement happening in the world. So look at your large corporate sites. They might have. Look at pick the top 10 corporates in your actual country. And
Fantastic.
Look what's on their side. There might be information there.
I want to put you on the spot. Can you think of any example where you know of an entrepreneur who had an idea and never got the business off the ground because of a lack of information?
I can give you a lot of examples of entrepreneurs who've never got off they've got great ideas, never got off the ground, because they couldn't access information.
Right.
Not that there wasn't information available.
Okay.
And it might have been other circumstances like transport.
Yes.
To get to a point to access information.
Right.
Electricity to have available to access the internet, to get the information.
Yes.
But I've never encountered any client that's come to me and said, I've got a great idea, but there's no information about it.
I understand.
And the only way that has happened once, but it's such a new product.
Yes.
That there wasn't information about it.
Yes.
They were actually at the cutting edge.
Okay.
And that's the only one I could possibly think of.
And that is exactly the point, I think. The information's available. It's whether you can access the information or not. I want to actually share the story. It happened to me, really, in one of the meeting rooms at one of my clients a couple of weeks ago. We were mentoring a group of entrepreneurs, and this one particular gentleman put up his hand and he said he hasn't started the business. He really needs help. And we spoke about a couple of meetings, and literally this was the issue. He didn't have access to get to the meetings. He didn't have the funds either to get there. And what struck me about this gentleman was, after this meeting was completed, he came to me and he said, "Can we have a word?" I said, "Of course we can chat." He said, "I know I don't really have the money or the means to get there, but I'm going to be there. I need this information so much because I believe in this business so much. And that just did something for me in a way that I thought, you know what, that just enthuses to build these small businesses and build economies and build the world. And really, and this is, it's the softer side, but it's reducing poverty ultimately at the end, you know?
Yes, well, the thing is, you know, true entrepreneurs overcome any obstacle.
Yes.
You know, you always hear stories, you know, from our parents and the stories of yore going, I'll walk 5 miles through the snow.
Yes.
And, no, I crawled 5 miles through the snow. Entrepreneurs will do that. There are two types of entrepreneurs. One who are going to go out there and grow a large corporate, and others who are going to go out there and grow themselves a job.
Yes, exactly.
The guys who grow themselves a job are going to take longer.
Yes.
They're not as dedicated. The people who want to grow a large corporate to have jobs available, they are going to go through anything possible. Anything at all.
I love what you're saying. Tyron, for me, what I've taken out of the session so far is there's a lot of information available. We can access that information if we really want to. We need to make a plan to access the information. And we've just got to be able to differentiate between what information is too much and what is too little. And this brings me to one of the quotes that I read in Psychology Today. Allow me to read this to you. The human mind hates uncertainty. Uncertainty implies volatility, randomness, and danger. When we notice information is missing, our brain raises a metaphorical red flag and says, pay attention. This could be important. When data is missing, we overestimate its value. Isn't that fascinating that our brains are telling us we need more than what we actually do?
It's true, because, you know, I was watching a BBC program about the mind a couple of weeks ago, and they were just showing how your mind is almost like slots in a movie. You get the little screen print.
Right.
And how you don't actually pick up all the information that you see. So even in the studio, because we assume something should be there, our mind just papers over the cracks.
Right.
So, you know, and then when we realize, hold on, we should have seen something that we never saw.
We panic.
Then there's the actual panic.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the information is available.
So what information, what advice can you then give to entrepreneurs when they're searching for all this information? And there's too much.
And there's too much. Again, like I say, read as much as you can. Read widely. There's no rush into an entrepreneurship. If you're in it for and the rest of your life. It's not something, I'm an entrepreneur now, and next week I'm something else.
Yes.
If you're an entrepreneur, and you're an entrepreneur. So you're going to be reading all the time.
Yes.
So gather the information. What isn't relevant now, believe me, will be next week. And so on and so forth.
Such an important point.
Things that you sort of discard now is because it's not relevant now.
Yeah.
And as you move forward, and in the life cycle of owning a business, that information will change all the time. So like right now, on first day, I want to make money, something about my clients.
Yes.
But when you've got staff later on and you've got a larger structure, you're thinking about other things like procedures and taxes and all, like all of those things. So bear in mind, the information's there. Pick what you need now, use it, it will change.
Fantastic.
And it will change every single day.
You've actually put me at ease. I physically felt you putting me at ease. So that means I can get you that information in good time, right? As the business grows.
Absolutely. And that is the key. That is exactly the key.
Okay.
Because you never know everything on like actually on your first day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, fantastic. Some other resources if you want to access information for starting your own business. Tyron mentioned the Biz for Africa website. Go look at the Learn Stuff section. Some really good information there. There's good information on the blog for Pazula website, if you can go there, Pazulu. The SARS website, South African Revenue Services, in your country it may differ, but it's the tax authority. CEDA website, ceda.org.za, really some good information about where you can access information. And then also Nedbank has some great information on their website about accessing information. Tyron, I want to thank you. For another session. Thank you very much and hope that you tune in soon.
Thank you.